So in Rhino, open a new template, small objects in inches. First thing I'm going to do is make the propeller. The blade needs to have an outer angle of attack of 10 degrees and an inner angle of attack of 40 degrees. And it doesn't say how wide the blade's going to be. It does say that it's about 3 inches across. I'll just make it ½ an inch wide at the end. I'll start out with the polyline, front view, got ortho on, got some object snap stuff going. So I'm going to make this, actually, I'll make it, 0.5 inches long. So I just type 0.5 and then I need to click and then hit enter. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, keep it on my clipboard, and you'll see why. I'm going to rotate it 10 degrees. Oh, you know what? I did rotate copy. Let me turn copy off for now. 10 degrees. There. Now I'm going to paste the one that I had earlier. So I kind of just undid what I just did. And in the top view, I'm going to move it about 1.5 inches, 1.5. Could do this a different way, but I think it makes sense to do it this way. So I got it there. Now I'm going to rotate it 40 degrees. So that's the inner part of the wing, or the blade. Now I'm going to type the loft command, select the curves. Okay, so you can see what I did there. And now to make the thickness, which is supposed to be 0.05, I'm going to offset this. And I need to, what in the world? Where did my tools go at the top? Copy this. What's going on? I close Rhino, but I'm going to keep that on my clipboard. If you notice, I'm in Rhino 6, not in Rhino 5. Don't ever remember my tools just going away there. Look at this. So weird. Oh, maybe because I have I had to change the display settings because this is a 4K screen. Okay, so I fixed my issues with my screen resolution, I think. And here's what I have. So I need to offset this. Click it. You don't have to click it, but you want to do surface, offset surface. There are different kinds of offset. So click that, press enter when I'm done, and I want to offset this 0.05 inches. So I just type that. And I forgot to make it a solid. So let me try that again. Solid. So there. All right, now I need some kind of hub in the middle to hold this thing together. So I'm going to make a cylinder, and just for now, I'll make it right here, but I'm going to move it around a little bit. And I'll make it that tall. There are no specifications for how big this cylinder is supposed to be. Now, from here to there is 1.5 inches. But that angle that I said earlier, that's the angle of the wing at that other end. If I union this now, see how the angle changes from here to the other end. If I union this now, the angle here to there is not going to be quite 40 degrees like it is from there to there. So I'm going to slide this over just a little bit, and that gets it close. I can do ghosted so we can see what's inside there. So this is just barely in. That should be pretty good. That creates a little problem that I'll deal with in a minute. So now I'm going to rotate this around. I'm going to do rotate copy, make sure I've got center on object snap, and 180. Now, the problem is if I make a circle with a diameter of 3, notice how these don't fit in it anymore. So I'm just going to move this to the center. I'm doing move. I'm moving from the center of this to the center of that. And I'm going to scale. I could scale 2D or 3D, but probably should scale 2D. If I scale 3D, I'm going to change the thickness of the wings or the propeller blades. So I'm going to scale from there. I'm not going to be too picky about the sizes of everything. If it's around 3 inches, that's okay. So there we go. So I'm going to save. I'm calling this number 2. I started doing this earlier and realized it was a bad video. You might think this is a bad video. So there's the propeller. It's the right size, got the right pitch, and I need to make a hole in it, and the hole is supposed to be 0.05 for the spindle. Notice how I move my mouse around the edge of the circle to get the center of the circle to pick up, because the circle or the cylinder is the edges there. So if you just go around the center, you're not going to actually get center to show up. So I've got diameter enabled. I'm going to type in 0.05. And looking at front view, I need to make a cylinder that's sticking all the way through this thing. Now I'll do a difference. And I can union these. All right, got my propeller done. Check. I can do the wheels or the chassis next. I'll do the chassis. So the chassis is easy. See, well, maybe I should, yeah, I'll do the chassis. You could make it really complicated, but it's supposed to be 6 inches long, 2 inches wide, and 1 inch tall. So the easiest thing is just to do a box. Click somewhere here, 6, enter, 2, enter, 1, enter. So there, I got my box. That's chassis all done, except I need to make a hole for the wheels to go through, for the axle to go through, and I also need to make the axles the right distance. So it says here that my wheelbase is 4 inches and the hole for the axle is 0.15. So make a cylinder, and I'm going to look at the side view here. I can make this hole really anywhere here, but my wheels are only 1 inch in diameter, so I need to make this 1/2 inch from the bottom. I can move it around. So 0.15, this is going to be a hole. And my other one needs to be 4 inches over, so I'm going to copy it. I'm going to click somewhere, doesn't matter where I click, there. I'm going to, in ortho, drag this way and then type 4. And then click again and then hit enter. So that looks pretty good to me. This, the way this grid system works, this is a whole inch, so I've got it about 1/4 inch from the bottom. I'll just move these over a little bit. I'm going to do a difference. Okay, so I got the chassis done. I've got the propeller done. And the propeller need to turn. Oh, I don't want to copy. And I need to rotate this again, just to make sure that I can move this again in a little while. Just need to make sure that it's in a position so that it's not going to hit the ground. I'll have to put an exception in for the motor mount. All right. Next thing to do is the wheels. By the way, there's a way to get this perfectly aligned. So the wheels have to be 1 inch in diameter and 1 inch thick. I'll do an incremental save. And I'll make the wheels from this perspective. Might as well just make it lining up with the holes. So 1 enter and 0.1 for thickness. That's what I have now. Move it out a little bit. Looks funny there. Now I'm supposed to make a hole in it for the axle to go through, and that's the same size as the axle, which is 0.125. So I might as well make an axle. Cylinder 0.125. Doesn't say anything about the axle needing to be perfectly lined up with everything, but okay. So I want to keep that axle there, but I want to also use it to make a hole. So I'm going to do a difference. Solid difference, delete input. No, I want to keep the thing I made the difference with. So there you can see it's got there's a hole, but the axle's still there. Now I need to make 6 spokes. So the way to make the spokes is to do this business with a tube. The tube forms a negative area between the spokes. So tube, there are other ways to do it, but the tube is easiest. I want to line the tube up with the center of the wheel. I want to set either the outer part of the hub or the inner part of the rim first. Doesn't matter. I'll do the inner part of the rim first. I'm going to turn object snap off because it's past right now. So here's the inner part of the rim. It's going to be the outer part of the hub. And now I need to make my my tube long enough so I can shove it through the wheel, cut the wheel away. So at this point I could cut out a donut from my wheel and my wheel would just fall apart. So now I need to, since I've got to do 6 spokes, I've got to cut the spokes out of this donut, and then what'll be left will be the space between the spokes, and I'll use that to cut the holes out of my wheel, leaving the spokes behind. So for my spokes, I'm going to use boxes, and they need to extend farther than the donut thing. So they're going through that. Now, since there are 6 of them, 360 divided by 6 is 60. I need to rotate this. I want it to copy, and I'm going to turn object snap back on so I can rotate this around the center of the wheel. I'm going to rotate 60 degrees, 120 degrees, 180 degrees, 240, 300. So now I've got those things I can cut out. So now I'm going to select the donut, do a difference, click all the little things I want to subtract from it. Oops, I deleted input and no. I want to get rid of those things. I don't want them to be there and have to delete them after I'm done. Could have just deleted them after I was done. All right, so now that's what I want to subtract from the wheel itself. So do the same thing. And now subtract all these things. So there, I've got my spoked wheel. And need 4 of those. So what I can do is I can mirror this across the thing. I'm going to click it, transform mirror. There's my horizontal mirror plane. I'm still in ortho. And this whole thing, I'm just going to move over my other holes 4 inches over. So I'm going to copy, click some reference point, drag in the direction I want to go, type in 4, enter, click once, and enter again to be done. So I think I've got everything except I need some kind of a motor mount. And this wasn't something I thought about putting in ahead of time, but I'll add that in retrospectively. So, oh, And the whole thing needs to be sitting on, let's make it a 12 inch by 12 inch by 2 inch block. 12, 12, 2. Just to make it look a little realistic. And to give us some idea of whether it's interfering with the ground. So I don't want this propeller sticking into the ground. The propeller could be a little bit lower. By the way, if I want to line the propeller up, I can use the move command and use this thing called Smart Track. So somewhere along here, see how that little light has lit up right in the center of this thing? Once that happens, Smart Track remembers that point. So I'll go here and click. That's my move from point. Now I'm going to move my mouse in until this lights up and go back over here and see those lines that develop. So now I know everything's lined up perfectly this way, vertically in top view. I just decided that I want you to actually come up with a little motor mount. And the motor mount needs to hold the motor, and the motor needs to align with the propeller. But the dimensions of the chassis, the height dimensions, width, and all, that doesn't include the motor. So there's my motor. I need to rotate it into the right position over here and get it all installed. Hello. So first, I'm going to rotate and not copy. Borrowed your microphone. And I'm just kind of pushing it over in this view. So now in top view.
Ron, is he doing anything for school?
And so I'm just working in top view and the other view. It really, again, the alignment I'm not too concerned about. Now from front view, I'm going to line up this
That doesn't get thrown away.
with the motor.
That's recycled. That's compost.
So,
The napkin can be compost.
or actually, I'm going to line up the motor with that. Transform move.
I like your gingerbread house, sorry.
I'm going to use center, the center of the motor,
I'm throwing it away. It's dirty.
to the center of the propeller. Now let's see in the other dimensions. It's not lined up in this one. So I'm going to do move. Not clicking on anything that can get you in trouble. To there. I'm going to move this to there. And let's see. Now the fit, I'm not going to be too concerned about the fit. Let's just do a difference. And we'll just do a perfect fit here. Delete input, no. And are these touching? Let's see if I can union them. All right.